Hey everyone, it's Kojo Ata here with the first episode of One at a Time, and today we're going to talk about how to get into one college at a time, and actually not just one college, but all the top schools, all your dream schools, schools that honestly I never thought I would get into, let alone graduate. Because today I'm going to talk about how I got into Stanford and other top schools. As you can see, I love this school. The best 4 years of my life. I just graduated in June virtually, which sucks. But I'm not going to get into that. That'll be another video for another day. Today, I'm going to really talk about how to get into the school of your dreams. And I'm just going to start off by saying this, because everyone's going to ask this in the comments, and everyone's going to ask me after this, stats. What were your stats? I'm going to tell you something right now. I get it. You're 17 or 18 years old. You're in high school. You're watching this video and you're super fucking stressed. I get it. I was hella fucking stressed back in what? Oh my God. Fall of 2015 when I was applying to a bunch of schools. And mine was especially stressful since I was applying to the Questbridge program. So I had to basically send in all of my college applications, or most of them, by the end of October. But I'm going to talk about that a little bit later. Now, I'm just going to start off by saying this. Stats aren't everything, especially for a school like Stanford. They only have a 4.3% acceptance rate. The acceptance rate is so tiny that like they could fill up like 10 classes of kids who got, perfect on the SATs or ACTs, or perfect on the subject scores, or perfect on IBAP. So like, and guess what? They don't fill up with just students that score perfect. Now, do kids score highly that get into Stanford? Yes, that's true. Like there's a certain bar you got to meet, and if you're below that, like you're really gonna struggle, right? And what is that bar? I would say in general. Honestly, I'm not even that good with the SAT score. I took the ACT since I grew up in Ohio. Most people in the Midwest only took the ACT, but I'm saying like honestly, if you have above like 31, 32 on the ACT, like shoot your shot, apply, because you never know, you may or may not get in. In terms of like AP scores, and for me, I just got five, so I'm not gonna lie. But honestly, if you have a four on some of your AP scores, that's fine. Same for me as well. I took a combination of IB and AP, so for my IB scores, gosh, I don't even. I took like bio and French and some other classes, and I remember just getting sixes or sevens. So those are kind of the ranges and profiles in terms of if you're thinking about stats. Oh, I guess if you want to think about the SAT, I'd probably say if you have, 12, oh no, sorry, if you have like what, 2200 and above, maybe 2100 out of 2400, you're in the running, you're in the median profile. The number one thing is when you're applying to schools like Stanford or any other of your dream schools, look at what the medium range is. If you fall within that medium range, definitely give it a shot in applying. If you're below that medium range, definitely, I would say study more for the ACT or SAT, and just get that score up. If you're above that median score range, then like, dude, you're chilling. Like at this point, it's like, how do you have a good application? I'm going to tell you the most important part of your application, because I would say like stats are given. Stats are usually a given. Obviously, there's some people, crazy, incredible backgrounds and stories, and they get in and maybe, they don't have the highest of scores, right? But in general, I would say stats just are on a given high for schools like Stanford or Harvard or Wharton, stuff like that, which are, schools I've got into. But that's all I'm going to say for stats, really. I don't want to waste too much more time on stats. I already spent like the past 3 minutes talking about them, and they're honestly not the most important part of the application. To me, and honestly, talking to a lot of admissions committee officials, at Stanford or other schools, one of the most important part of your essays, the most underlooked part of your essays, look at what I just did. I just said it. The most important part of your application is your essay. It's your essay. I can't repeat that enough. That essay is what's going to separate all the kids, who have perfect grades and perfect test scores and perfect resumes or extracurriculars. Your essay is so crucial. Telling who you are, telling them what you want to do with your life, telling them what's your vision, what your goals are, what motivates you is so, so, so important. So I can't stress that enough. Your essay is the key. The essay is the meat to the sandwich. Okay. The stats, extracurriculars, so on and so forth, recommendation are the bread. And obviously, they're a big chunk of bread, but the essays are the meats. That's how I know who you are as a person, not just as a number, but who you are as a person, what makes you tick, what drives you, and what motivates you. So your essay is important. Don't do it last minute. You can, I'm not gonna lie, I did some essays last minute. They won't be the best essays. And even looking back on my essays that I wrote last minute, I was like, wow. I'm just kind of surprised I got it was a few of these essays. My Stanford essay and all my top school essays, let me tell you what, I put my foot in it. I put my heart into them. I put all my blood, sweat, and tears into them. I was just really talking about what it is I want to do in life, what I hope and envision, my college experience would be. And yeah, I mean, I really was very honest in my essays. And, I remember getting, the Stanford admissions letter saying that, I had got in, and, there was a handwritten note from my admissions officer, and he was telling me how, riveting and passionate and enlightening my essay was. And he could just already get such a good sense of my personality within my essay. And I'll actually make a video later about, my college essays and personal statements. And so that's how important it was to him. And that's why I really stress you as you're writing applications during this application season to really make sure you have great personal essays. Number one, personal essays, personal statements have to be flawless. Number two, for the supplemental essays, don't copy and paste. They can tell when you copy and paste. Make sure your supplemental essay is for the school that you're applying to, okay? Especially, there's some schools like Georgetown has a very specific supplemental essay, right? Stanford supplemental essay questions are also very specific and different. And, Brown and so on and Harvard, they're all different, right? So make sure you're addressing the question that the school's asking. And make sure you know the school's culture, right? Like for me, I would say my Stanford supplemental essays, I was really fun with them. I was comical. I was whimsical. I wasn't super uptight and serious. And, I was a little bit nervous, looking back then about doing that. But honestly, I'm glad I did because, that's just the nature of the school. Stanford is a school where people are brilliant, but they're also quite humble and quite jovial, quite fun. And, people just like to have fun and turn up, especially on the weekends. Let me tell you what, on the weekends, people turn up. But yeah, I was my authentic self in each of my supplemental essays as well. But I made sure to cater to the schools I was applying to, right? So Georgetown, obviously I was talking about, some international law and kind of like humanitarian crisis. Stanford was like, write a letter to your future roommate. And I wrote a letter. And honestly, like, that's kind of how the vibe of me and my freshman year roommate had. But yeah, that, essays, I can't stress enough. They're super important. Super, super important. Number two, I'm going to go on to extracurriculars. I would say when it comes to extracurriculars, it's more about depth than breadth. Again, it's more about depth, going in deep in 1, 2, 3 things than trying to do 5 or 10 or like 100 different things, okay? And having a genuine, clear reason for participating in those extracurriculars is also very, 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 very important. So like, I know for me, I ran track in high school for a little while, even though I was pretty freaking slow, but actually it kept me in shape. What else did I do in high school? Oh my, I'm forgetting now. I was on, I think it was like a principal's advisory committee. I helped run, I went to Westfield South High School in Ohio. I helped run their Black History Month show, which was super fun. The Black History Month at Westfield South probably taught me all the dance moves that I know, which is embarrassing 4 years later, but we'll talk about that another day. And I had a lot, I was class vice president too while I was at South. I had like very kind of clear, kind of niche. I was in a lot of like student government roles or like kind of like advocacy roles as well. And that's just one of my interests. That's just one of my passions, right? And because like my school didn't have that many like clubs that other schools have. Like I went to pretty it's an all right, honestly, pretty crappy public school. Let me be real. Let me be real. Lots of kids on free reduced lunch. We didn't have Model UN. We didn't have a debate team. We didn't have all these crazy, sports like squash and equestrian and polo. Like, we didn't have any of that crap at, Westfield South High School. So I just did what I was available to me. So again, especially for you public school kids, if you go to a school that's like under-resourced, underfunded, doesn't have all of the programs that, some of these kids coming from bougie boarding schools like Andover and Exeter, then you know what? Just do the most that you can at your school. Don't compare yourself to those kids. They have a leg up. They just do. But when it comes to missions, it's all about doing the most that you can with the resources that were available to you. So that's kind of what I did in school. Outside of school, I did a lot of volunteering. Like I helped, there was a refugee and immigration services center in Central Ohio that, I helped at, doing some like translation work and just helping kids, adjust to the US, doing ESL stuff as well. Stuff at church, the Vineyard of Columbus. I'm not the most religious person. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna make it seem like I was the choir boy or something. I wasn't. But and then I guess a significant extracurricular for me was working, especially like if you're coming from like a middle class or like lower income background, like chances are you most likely are gonna have a job in high school. And for me, what was I doing in high school? I worked at a place that's actually now out of business, MCL Restaurant and Bakery. It was in Westerville. They closed it down apparently maybe 3 years ago now. So I was a server. I served food and I was a cashier. And sometimes I was a waiter as well. I worked at Office Max too. I think Office Max is still in business. I don't remember the last time I went to Office Max. No shade to Office Max, but like I worked a lot in high school, trying to get pocket money, buy things for myself because parents wouldn't. I'm sure a lot of you guys can relate to that in high school. So work was a big part of my high school experience. I was always trying to hustle, find ways to make money. And I talked about that in my applications as well, because again, like if you're spending a lot of time on that thing in your life, it should be included in your college application. Because it molds you, shapes who you are. I know for me, when I was serving food at MCL Restaurant and Bakery, I was like, this cannot be my life. I cannot be 30, 40, 50, 60 years old, making minimum wage, serving food to honestly, oftentimes rude and racist customers. I was like, look, I'm not having that. I don't got time for that. I got too many goals. I got too much ambition. I'm not doing that. I'm not settling for that. Okay, this I think it was $8.10 an hour is not gonna cut it. I got dreams. I'm trying to do business. I was again thinking about law school. I'm like, I'm not doing menial labor. I'm sorry. I'm the children of immigrants. I'm from Ghana. I saw the way that my parents had to work, and they had to sacrifice. But I'm not trying to do that when I'm older. Fuck, if I'm in the US, I'm doing more. I'm doing the most possible. So that really shaped me. And I talked about that a lot during my, in my application as well, part of my extracurriculars and in my essays, because, work really taught me that, I shouldn't become complacent, that, I should aspire to do more. So yeah, I think that kind of sums it up for extracurriculars. Now, the fourth, and honestly, the second most important part of applying to colleges, actually, this is not really going to be application advice, but this is about money, moolah, dinero, l'argent, Chien, money. College is expensive, okay? And let me tell you what, right now, I graduated Stanford debt-free. No debt. Did not take a single loan. In part because Stanford has amazing financial aid. And honestly, Stanford, a lot of the Ivy League, a lot of top schools in the US have amazing financial aid. But even if I didn't get financial aid, and actually in addition to the financial aid, I should say, I had a scholarship. So I'm a Gates Millennium Scholar. Shout out to Bill Gates, okay? Basically, it's a 10-year scholarship. They fully, they cover any unmet need in your undergrad, as well as they help cover some graduate programs. Unfortunately, they don't cover MBAs or law school, and that's what I'm looking at right now. But hey, it's an amazing scholarship. Shout out to Bill Gates again. And as well, I'm a QuestBridge scholar, although I chose not to match, but I am also a QuestBridge scholar. So those are two scholarships that are really great, especially, if you come from, lower income background, like apply to Gates and QuestBridge. And as well, if you're from lower income background, definitely look into Horatio Alger and look into the POSSE scholarship, POSSE, if you're trying to Google it right now. But there are so many scholarships that I forgot about or I just didn't know about when I was a high school senior that I'm like, fuck, I should have applied. I was leaving thousands of dollars on the table. And those scholarships are, if you got a pen and paper, get them right now. Write these scholarships down. So I mentioned Gates Millennium Scholarship, QuestBridge. There's Ron Brown. Ooh, I had so many Ron Brown friends at Stanford, and they were doing just fine. Let me tell you what, financially, they were doing just fine. So Ron Brown is a really good one. Jackie Robinson Scholarship, Coca-Cola Scholars, Burger King Scholars, Jack Kent Cook Scholarship, Horatio Alger. I almost took you guys out. Dell Scholars, the Microsoft Scholarship, and the McDonald's Haster Scholarship. Those are just a few of the really good scholarships out there that I didn't apply to in senior year of high school just because I didn't know they existed. I just didn't know they existed. So those are some scholarships that I really think that you should apply to. And that kind of wraps it up for what I want to say in this first video of one at a time. And this day, or for this episode, we're talking about one college and I guess one scholarship at a time. If you're applying to your universities, let me just tell you what, have faith, keep your chin up, you'll get through this process. And again, you miss every single shot that you don't take, so apply. You have to apply. I beg, apply. Because if you don't apply, no one's going to review your application. And your chances of getting admitted will be zero. So good luck with your applications. Feel free to hit me up for essay review and advice and, resume advice as well. I wish you all the best through this stressful time. And we're still in a freaking pandemic. So take care, keep your chin up, and good luck. You got this.